Welcome, dear friends, and let me tell you a fascinating story of love, deception, and self-discovery. Enjoy the story. Michael Sullivan raised his glass of 18-year Macallan, savoring the smoky aroma as he listened intently to his best friends Jack and Andrew bemoaning the state of modern women. The three handsome bachelors were enjoying a night out at Delmonico's, their favorite old-school New York steakhouse. "I'm telling you, man, they're all the same," Jack grumbled, stabbing his medium-rare filet mignon with his fork. "They act all sweet and loving at first, but as soon as they've got their hooks in you, bam! The prenup comes out and they're talking about what's mine is mine." He shook his head in disgust, still bitter over his failed engagement to Stacy, the gorgeous but greedy real estate heiress who had dumped him when he had the audacity to ask for a prenuptial agreement. Andrew nodded sympathetically, swirling his glass of Cabernet. The international playboy had dated more beautiful women than he could count, but had yet to find one with both inner and outer beauty. The hot ones are either airheads or gold diggers, and the smart, kind ones all look like librarians. There's just no winning, is there? Michael frowned, setting down his whiskey. "Come on, guys, you're being way too cynical. There are millions of amazing women out there, beautiful, intelligent, down to earth. You're just looking in the wrong places." Jack snorted derisively. "Oh yeah? I bet you couldn't find one woman like that if your life depended on it. Not in this day and age." A sly grin spread across Andrew's chiseled face. "Care to make it interesting? Let's say 3 months. If you can find a drop-dead gorgeous woman with a heart of gold who isn't just after your bank account, I'll give you my prized '67 Mustang convertible. But if you can't—" He paused for dramatic effect. "Then you hand over the keys to your Aspen ski chalet. Do we have a deal?" Michael leaned back in his leather chair, considering the high-stakes bet. He was confident he could win. How hard could it be to find one woman with beauty, brains, and integrity? He stuck out his hand to shake on it. "You're on, boys. Prepare to eat your words." For the next 3 days, Michael meticulously planned his strategy. He would attend the upcoming Miss All-American Beauty pageant, figuring that the contestants were sure to be both stunning and accomplished. But in order to test their true nature, he would need to go undercover. Michael pulled up to a run-down apartment complex on the outskirts of the city in a rusted 1990s Ford Taurus, the junker car he had purchased for $500 cash. Wearing an ill-fitting polyester suit from the thrift store, he hauled his battered suitcase up to apartment 2B, his home for the next month. The dingy studio was a far cry from his posh penthouse overlooking Central Park, but it would have to do. He was a man on a mission. On the night of the pageant, Michael arrived at the glitzy downtown venue in his cheap suit and Taurus, looking every bit the working-class schlub. As he entered the deserted lobby, his eyes landed on a breathtaking sight, the most beautiful woman he had ever seen, with cascading raven hair, porcelain skin, and striking violet eyes. But rather than a gown, she wore a maid's uniform as she gracefully mopped the marble floor, singing a haunting French ballad. "Excuse me, miss," Michael stammered, approaching the stunning stranger. "I'm sorry to interrupt. That's a lovely song you're singing." The woman looked up, startled, her violet eyes widening. "Oh, merci beaucoup. It's an old French folk song my grandmère taught me. I like to sing it while I work the night shift." "You have a beautiful voice," Michael said sincerely. "I'm Michael, by the way. I don't mean to be forward, but what's a girl like you doing working as a janitor, if you don't mind me asking?" She smiled shyly. "I'm Violet. It's nice to meet you, Michael. I'm working my way through architecture school. It's my dream to design beautiful buildings that uplift people's spirits. But school is expensive, so I take whatever jobs I can to get by." Michael was struck by her humble aspirations and work ethic. This was no typical pageant princess, but a real woman of substance. "That's very admirable, Violet. I'd love to hear more about your studies. I'm actually heading home for the night. Can I offer you a ride? I know it's not much, but my car is right outside." Violet hesitated for a moment, then nodded gratefully. "That would be wonderful. Thank you. I just finished my shift." As Michael held open the creaky passenger door of the Ford for Violet, he couldn't believe his luck. He had found a beautiful, intelligent, hardworking woman in the most unlikely of places. Maybe this bet would be easier to win than he thought. Over the next month, Michael and Violet fell into an easy routine. Every evening, Michael would pick Violet up from her job at the concert hall in his decrepit Taurus. They would grab a bite at the local diner, then head back to Violet's tiny apartment where she lived with her ailing grandmother. There, Michael would help Violet study for her architecture exams while she prepared dinner, the savory aroma of her famous coq au vin filling the air. As they pored over Violet's textbooks together at the rickety kitchen table, Michael was continually impressed by her keen mind and creative vision. Violet dreamed of designing soaring skyscrapers and eco-friendly public spaces that would revitalize urban communities. Her eyes sparkled with passion as she explained her ideas. Violet was equally taken by Michael's kindness, work ethic, and humble lifestyle. Having grown up poor, she admired that he worked as a mechanic and drove a modest car, unlike the flashy trust fund boys she usually met. Michael made her feel truly seen and appreciated for her mind and heart. But even in his euphoric, love-struck state, Michael couldn't forget the reason he had sought Violet out in the first place, the ridiculous wager with Jack. When his buddy called, demanding to finally meet this unicorn woman Michael had found, he knew it was time to come clean. Under the pretense of taking Violet out for a nice date, Michael arranged an elaborate setup at the city's most upscale restaurant, La Renoir. He had the entire place decorated with thousands of delicate rose petals, glittering fairy lights, and a string quartet playing romantic melodies. This would be the perfect setting to finally reveal his true self to Violet and propose to her, winning the bet against Jack. Violet was stunned speechless as the valet opened the door to Michael's sleek silver Bentley at the restaurant's entrance. "Michael, what is all this?" she asked, eyes wide with confusion and a hint of unease. "You'll see, my love," Michael replied with a reassuring smile, offering his arm. He escorted her inside, basking in her look of wonder-struck awe at the opulent, dimly lit atmosphere. Jack and Andrew were waiting at a secluded table settled, grinning wolfishly. "Well, well, well, look what the cat dragged in," Jack guffawed as they approached. "Mikey, you sly dog!" Violet shrank back, intimidated by the strangers. Michael gave her hand a comforting squeeze, before turning to his friends with the biggest smile. "Gentlemen, I'd like you to meet the woman of my dreams, Violet Lamb, gorgeous, brilliant, and with a heart of pure gold." He then dropped to one knee before Violet, producing a velvet box which he flipped open to reveal a stunning 8-carat diamond ring that must have cost $500,000 easily. "Violet, my darling, these past weeks with you have been the best of my life. You've shown me what true beauty lies within. Will you do me the profound honor of becoming my wife?" The silence that followed was deafening. Violet's expression had drained of all color, her violet eyes swimming with unshed tears. "This is all some sort of cruel joke, isn't it?" she choked out, backing away from Michael's kneeling form. "What? No, no, my love, of course not!" Michael scrambled to his feet, feeling his fairy tale crumbling. "This is all real, every feelings I have for you." "Then what is all this?" Violet cried, gesturing around them wildly. Expensive jewels, rose petals scattered everywhere, men in suits laughing at some private joke. It was too much. "Who are you really, Michael? Some rich boy playing games, thinking he can buy a woman's heart with his money?" Jack and Andrew's raucous laughter echoed in Michael's ears, as Violet's words pierced him like knives. He had been so blinded by his love that he failed to consider how this elaborate display would look from her perspective, like a billionaire mocking her humble life. "Violet, please, you have to understand." Michael reached for her, but she wrenched away violently. "My feelings are real. All of this is real." "How can I believe that when you've lied about everything?" Violet whispered brokenly. "Did you ever really care about me, Michael? Or was I just a way for you to win some sort of sick bet with your rich friends?" The truth of her words was like a physical blow to Michael's gut. In his desperation to prove his friends wrong, he had become everything Violet hated. Just another wealthy, careless man who viewed women as trophies to be won. "My mother, she got sick last year, you know?" Violet went on in a trembling voice. The diamond ring in Michael's hand suddenly weighed £1,000,000. We couldn't afford the treatment, not on my salary and Graham's pension. All the money, wasted on this frivolous display, it could have saved her life. She dissolved into heartbroken sobs then, fleeing from the restaurant. Michael could only watch, dumbstruck, as the love of his life ran from him into the night. The drive back to his lavish penthouse was a blur. Michael sat in his study, staring sightlessly into the fireplace as he replayed Violet's anguished words over and over. Her grandmother's illness, the struggles they had clearly been facing while he gallivanted about in his ruse. He had been so arrogant, so foolish in his pursuit to win the bet. Violet's love should have been cherished, not made into a game. As the first rays of dawn peeked over the city skyline, Michael found himself back at Violet's dilapidated apartment building. He had to make this right, had to find a way to earn her forgiveness. Squaring his shoulders, he ascended the creaky stairs and knocked firmly on her door. There was a lengthy pause before Violet's grandmother answered, peering up at him with a guarded expression. "You've got a lot of nerve showing your face here after what you put my baby through," the elderly woman said in a stern voice. "Please, ma'am, I need to speak to Violet to try and make amends," Michael pleaded. "I never meant to cause her such pain. I was arrogant and foolish, and I'll regret it for the rest of my days if I can't make this right." The grandmother's weathered features softened slightly at his sincere remorse. "She's a good judge of character, my Violet. If she sees you're worth a second chance in that thick head of yours, so be it. But you best be on your best behavior, Mr. Moneybags." Nodding gratefully, Michael stepped inside at her beckoning. Violet was seated on the threadbare couch, eyes red-rimmed and puffy from crying. Her gut-wrenched expression when she saw him was like a dagger to his heart. "Violet, my dearest Violet," he began, dropping to his knees before her in supplication. "Words cannot express how deeply sorry I am for the way I've deceived you, for making you feel like nothing more than a prize to be won." Tears slipped down Violet's cheeks as she listened raptly. "Why, Michael? Why did you have to lie and play these games? Was being with me, getting to know the real me, not enough?" "You're right. It wasn't enough for me," Michael admitted, shame burning his cheeks. "Because I'm an arrogant, privileged fool who thought he had everything in the world figured out. I made a stupid wager with my friends, a bet that I could find the perfect woman, one with incredible beauty inside and out. And I thought the only way to truly gauge that was by concealing my wealth, by becoming someone less." Violet's grandmother made a noise of disapproval, but Michael pressed on. "I know that's no excuse, but I hope you can understand my motivations, misguided as they were. From the moment I laid eyes on you, Violet, I was stunned by your ethereal beauty. But the more I got to know you, the more I realized your beauty was more than skin deep." His hands tentatively found hers, calloused fingers brushing her soft skin. "Your brilliant mind, your warmth and compassion, your loving bond with your grandmother, those were the things that made me fall hopelessly, desperately in love with you. You showed me what a good, pure heart looks like in a way I'd never experienced before." Violet's eyes had softened somewhat as Michael poured out his heart. "So you see, my love, while my methods were reprehensible, my feelings for you were as real and true as they come. You aren't just some prize for me to win. You're the other half of my soul that I spent my whole life searching for without realizing it." Taking a fortifying breath, Michael reached into his pocket and produced a smaller box, which he opened to reveal a stunning but more modestly sized diamond ring, the stone a perfect teardrop shape. "Violet Lamb, would you do me the greatest honor of all, of becoming my wife, my partner, my everything? I don't deserve your love, but I will spend every day of forever trying to be worthy of it." Tense silence stretched between them as Violet's grandmother looked back and forth anxiously. Finally, Violet spoke in a tremulous voice. "How can I be sure this is real? That this isn't just another elaborate ruse?" She searched Michael's eyes imploringly. "Our world, they're so different, Michael. What if that drives us apart?" "Then we'll bridge that divide together," Michael vowed fervently, "with understanding, compassion, and love that transcends class or material things. All I want is you, Violet. Just you." Violet gnawed her lip indecisively for a long moment. Then her grandmother spoke up in a firm tone. "Now you listen to me, Violet girl. I've been around long enough to recognize true love when I see it. This young man made a fool of himself, sure, but his heart is in the right place. She fixed Michael with a stern look. You best treat my grandbaby like the queen she is, you hear? With every fiber of my being, Michael promised fervently. Violet searched his eyes once more before giving a slow nod. Okay, I believe you. I can't explain it. But my heart is telling me to trust you, Michael. She slipped the exquisite teardrop diamond onto her finger, a dazzling smile blooming across her face. Yes, I'll marry you. Despite our differences, despite your ridiculous games, I love you too. Michael felt like his heart would burst as he swept Violet into his arms, cradling her close. Their lips met in a searing, passionate kiss that conveyed all the love, regret, and hope blazing between them. Thank you, my love. My life, he murmured roughly against her lips before pressing their foreheads together. I'll never take you for granted again. Violet's grandmother observed the loving scene with a misty smile. Well, what are you two lovebirds waiting for? We've got a wedding to plan. And so they did. A simple but beautiful ceremony was held a few months later in the rose garden of Michael's family estate. Violet was resplendent in an elegant lace gown, her grandmother beaming with pride. As Michael gathered his new bride in his arms for their first dance as husband and wife, he knew he had finally found everything he could ever want in this world. Violet was his soulmate, his guiding light, his forever love, all thanks to an utterly ridiculous wager that somehow showed him what truly mattered most. And despite their rocky start, Michael vowed to spend every day showing Violet just how priceless her love was to him.